listen to their concerns and craft solutions to address these needs. That has been the hallmark of the coalition government since it came into office in 2015. Just recently, several ministers were in Mabaruma where they visited communities in Region 1. On this edition of InfoHubIn-Depth, we take a look back at these engagements.
Are you ready to embark on a truly epic adventure to an undiscovered corner of South America, where some of the most spectacular natural attractions are unveiled within a beautifully diverse landscape? From the wetlands and savannas to the ancient mountains, magnificent waterways and lush enriching rainforest would provide a vast playground for some of the most exotic and breathtaking creatures on the planet, including many of the world's giant species. This untouched land of mystery and wonder serves up an exclusive experience for travelers. So are you ready for a new, awe-inspiring adventure? Welcome back to nature. Welcome to Guyana.
As the decentralization of public services across the country continues, Mabaruma is the latest community slated to have an immigration office and passport office constructed in the sub-district. This was announced by Director General of the Ministry of the Presidency, Joseph Harmon, when he met with residents in Husaroro.
We have started the decentralization of government services. We have decentralized. In fact, only recently you would find that all the police divisions have become different. We have decentralized so that the access to direct service is much easier for citizens.
Director General Harmon explained that the establishment of the passport office in the township will allow for greater extension of government services, registration of births and death being one.
In all of the townships, we are going to establish these extensions of government services. So you can expect that coming very soon. So you don't have to go to Georgetown to go anywhere. Everything is right at your doorstep.
Over in Barabina, a call which was made for decades by senior citizens for a sanitary block at the Mabaruma Post Office was answered.
The project was financed by the Managing Director of the Guyana Water Incorporated, Dr. Richard Banwas Charles, and commissioned by Minister of Social Protection, Honorable Amna Ali.
I want to say to you that we are happy for your contribution. You have spent your years addressing very serious issues in our country. You have made your contribution. You have done your lot, and we recognize that, and we want to make sure that you spend these years enjoying it.
During her meeting with the residents, the Social Protection Minister assured that the administration will construct a state-of-the-art multi-purpose center in the community. She explained that this will be done through the government's Sustainable Livelihood Entrepreneurial Development Program.
But once we are returned to government, I assure you, that is my promise to you, that is the first project I will do in Mabaruma, the multi-purpose building.
Additionally, Minister Ali presented certificates of completion to participants of the Ministry of Indigenous Peoples Affairs Hinterland Employment and Youth Service Program.
Meanwhile, in St. Anselm, the Minister of Business, the Honorable Hemraj Rajkumar, reiterated the government's commitment to serving the people.
It is our intention that as we go along and as we continue to govern, we have the interests of the people in our minds. We are looking to fill our pockets. We are looking to take things and for ourselves. We are working. We're working very hard. We're working very strenuously so that the people of our country can benefit.
Minister Rajkumar expressed that the government also continues to invest in public infrastructure, which will aid in delivering a better life for all Guyanese.
We are developing the hinterland, as I said earlier. Many of you would have visited Mabaruma, visited Port Kaituma and see that this government has been building roads where it used to be a muddy dam when it rains. Now we have brand new paved roads. And these are things that you deserve.
The business minister said as steps are being taken to prepare for oil production in the first quarter of 2020, developmental works across the country are expected to increase rapidly and called on the St. Anselm's residents to seize the opportunities that will attend with these changes.
Minister of Public Telecommunications, the Honourable Catherine Hughes, took her message of digital marketing to the residents of St. Dominic.
Whilst informing the St. Dominic residents of the advances the government has been making in the telecommunications sector, Minister Hughes disclosed that plans are on stream to establish a hub in the community. While the hubs are primarily utilized by school children to complete school assignments, residents can also utilize the service.
And the older folks have an opportunity to use this same internet to improve themselves and their skills.
She also used the opportunity to inform them about the ministry's Farmers Market app, which will allow their farmers an opportunity to market their produce to an online community.
This app you're going to be able to put on your phone. You're going to be able to download it for free on your phone once you have the internet in this room. Or if you go somewhere else that got internet. Many places in Mabaruma, we already put at the school, at the regional office, hospital. So already places in Mabaruma, we've put the internet. And we come in to communities like St. Dominic. And that farmers market app allows you, if you're planting any produce, to be able to go and to say on this website what you got to sell.
The Public Telecommunications Minister also distributed electronic tablets to several residents in the community.
As healthcare services are being made more accessible to hinterland residents, the need to travel to Georgetown for medical care is reduced. Public Health Minister, the Honourable Valda Lawrence, updated villagers of Blackwater on a recent move by her ministry to train young men and women as allied health professionals.
This training is for persons to become audiological practitioners, pharmacy assistants, medical laboratory technicians, environmental health assistants, and X-ray technicians. 147 persons have been accepted, to which the largest intake hinterland trainees stands at 44.
At the end of their course, they will be coming back to the regions, back to their villages with their families, but they will be employed in our health facilities. So when you go to the health center, in another year or so, you can have your blood test done, you can have an ECG done, they can see what is happening inside of you. You will have someone putting together the medication for you, and all of those persons will be persons from Region 1.
Minister Lawrence further explained that alongside the training of her staff, her ministry is working with the health department of each hinterland region to ensure that the necessary facilities are in place to accommodate the service.
The Ministry of Health, in our mandate, we want to ensure that Guyanese, or whoever is here, because the Constitution says that any person within the 83,000 square miles of our country feel ill, they must be able to go to our health facilities, and we have to look after them. Our Constitution says that. And so we want to ensure that we can be able to lift the quality of that service so that we can take care of our people.
Residents of Mabaruma, Karibo grasped the opportunity to convey to the minister within the Ministry of Communities, the Honourable Annette Ferguson, some of the concerns within their community.
Some of the issues that were raised by residents had to do with that of their involved in lumbering, and what they have requested of me to lobby for them is for them to get market for the lumber, because what usually happens when they cut the lumber, it is difficult for them to get it out from the community into other areas.
The minister highlighted that the residents are also in need of a 15-horsepower engine to be utilized in transporting school children to and from school.
With respect to, there was another issue coming out from the discussion, was that of employment for the young people. That's one. Two, they want to see more activities done in their community. They want to have a medical outreach there in the community. So based on the issues that were raised, I've given full commitment to the residents that I will have these matters, forwarded to the various ministers.
Meanwhile, as his colleagues fanned out across the Barima-Waini sub-district of Mabaruma, Minister of Citizenship Honorable Winston Felix visited the small community of Thomas Hill. There, among other matters, he addressed the residents' concerns about the need for improved delivery of birth certificates in far-flung communities.
In these parts, the hinterland communities, birth registration is taken very lightly. And so there are a number of children who were born and their births are not registered. Or the births have been registered and you don't collect the birth certificate.
He assured that measures will be put in place to better the current distribution of certificates in the community.
At the Yarakita meeting, a resident issued a passionate call for her community to work in unison towards its advancement.
One person cannot build a village. He go by the two show, his 12 councillor and resident communicating together and the place will build. But if 1 and 2 and 3 playing captain, he could never build. Because if our president in Georgetown, if he try he alone, he cannot make it. But he coming to communicating with others and he is building. Just so would be to Yarikita. If we communicate together, we will build.
That was Amina Williams, whose desire for cohesion in Yarakita rang loudest at the community engagement. Minister within the Ministry of Public Infrastructure, Honorable Jaipal Sharma, supported Amina's comments and sought to encourage the community. He also reminded that hinterland communities will not be left out as Guyana readies itself for a transformation with the emerging oil and gas sector.
Stick together. There's strength in numbers. The focus for the first 10 years will be on infrastructure, education, it will be on health, and also building community resilience. Because we can't depend on the oil and gas well. That is why we're putting that money away. Most of that money will be kept for the future generation.
Pensioners of Red Hill in the Mabaruma sub-region are breathing a sigh of relief after the Minister of Natural Resources, the Honorable Rapper Trotman, came to their assistance by committing to aid in their transportation woes.
So I'm going to commit to replacing that 40 horsepower engine for you. Okay?
By replacing the speedboat engine lost by the community, Minister Trotman and the government will be assisting pensioners like Lionel Peters and his wife in cutting down an exorbitant transportation cost to go revive their monthly old pension.
I am a pensioner, myself and my wife. It is very hard for we to go out from here to Mabaruma to draw our pension. We have to pay $10,000 for the passenger boat to go. Right? And it's me and my wife. We have to pay $20,000 to go out.
The community already had an engine, however, that engine was lost and was never replaced. The new engine, with an already available boat, which was previously obtained through a presidential grant, will be used for the benefit of the entire community, but specifically its pensioners. Minister Trotman also committed to sending 6 tablets and a printer to the school, as well as committed to ensuring an outstanding grant of $200,000 is provided. Before the meeting wrapped up, the Honorable Minister urged togetherness and collaboration among villagers.
But if we put our differences aside, we can get things done. We elected a Tushao, give our support. But if we were to sometimes put the village first, put the children first, put the community first, we get more done.
Noting that their opposition-led RDC is not representing them effectively, residents of Mabaruma Nobo said it is time to abandon party lines and focus on the development of their community and region. They met with the Minister of Foreign Affairs, the Honorable Dr. Karen Cummings, during the ministerial exercise.
The coalition was commended for its push to have farmers in the Mabaruma Nobo community form a co-op society and for working to establish a pipe-borne water supply. However, even as residents expressed their satisfaction, they did not hold back from relaying to Minister Karen Cummings their plight over the years.
We would have been living here for over 40, 50, 60 years. We're still not getting water through the pipes.
At the moment, the Guyana Water Incorporated is working to ensure that safe water is available or supplied to 80% of all settlements in the hinterland. In the meantime, another resident noted the need to put community development above everything else.
Things could happen, but things could only happen if people cooperate and stop forgetting about politics and history. It's a cycle, right? It's a cycle that we, the ordinary people, continue to suffer, and we being brainwashed by people who don't care for us. So I think it's time enough that we realize that we're losing all the time. Right now, we should just forget about party lines.
In response, Minister Cummings reminded residents that the coalition government is people-centered and that it is working swiftly to bring about much-needed improvements to Mabaruma Nobo.
That's where we depend on you to make a change and be engaged in the process, be part of the process of that change. All right? But all is not lost. I have a stubborn optimism. Things are going to get better.
Meeting with Haute-Oquaye residents, Minister within the Ministry of Indigenous Peoples Affairs, the Honorable Valerie Garrido-Lowe, emphasized that all, regardless of their geographic location, were equal under the coalition government.
That we are all equal and we deserve, no matter where we live, upriver, on top mountain, we're in the valleys, it does not matter. We deserve the same opportunities like anybody else on the coast.
She focused on efforts to push hinterland development as part of the move to bridge the gap between the hinterland and coastal region. Part of this, the minister said, inspired the administration's move to declare new towns, install ICT hubs, and ensure the decentralization of critical services.
You don't have to travel to Georgetown when the town is fully functioning. You don't have to travel to Georgetown. You travel to your own town, which is in Mabaruma. And you get your passport right there, you get your birth certificate right there, you get your TIN number, everything you need right there. Hospital and everything will be upgraded. Specialists will come.
Minister Garrido-Lowe explained that the government's efforts to bring development also resulted not only in the innovation of construction of concrete roads, but also the offering of various training programs. The latter, she noted, will not only lead to personal development, but that of the communities.
If they learn carpentry and joinery, they can go to any other village and work. They can travel to Georgetown and work. They could travel to Brazil and work. Why? Because they have a skill. Once you acquire a skill, you can travel anywhere and earn for yourself.
The minister also presented a guitar, volleyballs, football, and nets. She also committed to ensuring that issues such as a rehabilitated health hut, additional health workers, and tools are provided.
The capacity of White Waters Community Policing Group was boosted following the receipt of an outboard engine and ATV from Public Security Minister, the Honorable Kemraj Ramjatan.
Cleveland D'Souza, chairman of the White Waters CPG, explained that members would have to walk for miles to reach some of the satellite villages or paddle for hours to get to communities upriver.
We had to walk up for over like 3 hours where road leads to the satellite areas. And for the boat, we have to go and stay overnight, then come back the other day. We couldn't make it back in one day. It used to affect our work because we could have touched more than one place for the day, but then traveling take up more of the time, so we couldn't go there and get there on time.
D'Souza noted that the community is home to more than 2,000 residents, and with the new tools in hand, the community policing group will now be able to execute their mandate effectively.
Our village is very big. We have satellite areas, so in the road area, we will use the ATV to get there. We have like over 1.5 hour riding to our satellite areas. Also with the boat, the engine, we have areas in the Riven area, like Korsaimo, Bamboo Landing, and Simrupa, where we have to travel like 2 hours in boat to get there. So with the help of the motor, we will get there regularly and talk to our people and maintaining the peace of the village.
The Minister of Indigenous Peoples Affairs, the Honorable Sidney Allicock, engaged residents of the riverine villages of Arukamouth and Imbotoro.
Arukamouth has a population of 305 persons, while Imbotero, located some 20 minutes upriver from Arukamouth, has over 200 residents. During the interactive meetings, the residents highlighted several issues affecting them, including the need for health facilities in the communities and proper drainage systems.
It's very stressful on us as parents when we have to take our children to the Mabaruma hospital, something just for a simple illness such as flu, a common illness such as flu. So we are kindly asking on behalf of the residents if we can have a health center in this community so that we can have easy access to health services.
Minister Allicock explained that while his ministry does not deal directly with those issues, he will engage with respective ministers to have these matters addressed at the earliest possible time.
This is one that I'm going to push forward with the Ministry of Health. Of course, you have to do your letter. Well, I'll follow up on the plan that you have. Great, you deserve to have a proper established health center along with the health worker. You have people, like you said, sometimes you get sick in the night to fight up to go wherever, and you need to have a proper system right here in the clear room. So I'm going to follow up on this and see how best we could get to help you.
It was noted that persons residing in communities have already been identified to be trained as community health workers. Over at Hobadiah Village, Ministerial Advisor and Member of Parliament Honorable Mervyn Williams called on the residents to prioritize their village improvement plan.
You need to put together a village improvement plan so that you don't end up in a situation where money is sitting there waiting, but no one knows what you will do with it. Am I making sense? Yeah. So you need to have a plan. Year 1 is 2020. What are the things we want to do in our village in 2020? Let's write them down. Right? How would these things benefit our village? Let's write them down. How many people will benefit from these things that we intend to do? Let's make a list. What will it cost to do each of these things in 2020? Let's write them down. All right? And you do the same thing for 2021 going down. Now, His Excellency the President has made it very clear that from 2020 to 2029, there will be what he calls the decade of development. Now, you are at a place in time where your village improvement plan can coincide with the decade of development 2020 to 2029.
MP Williams also addressed the issue of accountability within the village council. He noted that millions of dollars have been invested in the community under the Presidential Grant Initiative. However, results have not yielded since the village began benefiting from the program in 2009.
The problem in this village is one of accountability. You have had leaders in the past who have not been demonstrating the level of accountability that is desirable if we are to have development and progress. Am I right or no? Right. So, we gotta stop voting in village councils and tushos because it's we family and because we like them. We gotta start voting in tushos and village councillors because we believe that the vision that they have for our village is good. That the intentions that they have for our village are honorable. That they will manage our resources, including money, in our best interest. and not in their best interest.
Between 2009 and 2017, the village received funding to establish a beekeeping initiative to produce honey and a livestock venture. Further support was provided for ginger and yam projects and other agricultural undertakings. Up to $1.5 million was invested in each of these projects.
Yarakita and Tobago farmers remain confident about their role in Region 1's agricultural success following their engagement with the Minister of Public Service, the Honorable Tabitha Sarabo Haley.
Minister Sarabo Haley explained that even with the advent of oil and gas production, the agriculture sector will not be neglected. Instead, she said, the resources obtained from the petroleum industry will fuel and stimulate several sectors of Guyana's economy, particularly agriculture.
Don't feel they need to come out of farming to get money, but that money is available in farming, and through farming you can sustain your life, you can sustain your family and your entire community.
Highlighting the conducive conditions existing for agriculture in the Mabaruma region, Minister Sarabo Haley encouraged Yarakita and Tobago farmers to use the resources available to them through the Ministry of Agriculture. She emphasized the importance of liaising with the Ministry of Agriculture to find these markets and tap into the GMC and other agencies established to give Guyanese farmers a boost.
You would have heard a lot about oil, you heard a lot about what the oil monies will be spent on, how it is we're going to be utilizing the oil monies. And it is the perspective of the APNU AFC government that the oil money should be utilized to not only deal with oil, but to develop all the other industries.
According to Minister Sarabo Haley, that means agriculture in Region 1 would get a greater influx of economical support, thereby ensuring they become the breadbasket for the entire Region 1.
During his community engagement in Lower Cariabo, the Social Cohesion Minister, Dr. George Norton, noted that as ministries continue to deliver on projects and programs, governments, ministers and heads of various agencies continue to visit far-flung communities to work with village leaders to meet the needs and address what he described as low-hanging fruits.
We would want to come here to meet with you, and as I said before, to see for ourselves what you need. But also we want to listen to you. We want you to tell us what is your problem, how you think we can help you.
He explained that issues are identified when assessed before being addressed based on priority. Minister Norton further clarified that after matters have been prioritized, they are then categorized for short, medium, or even long-term intervention.
There might be things that we can do almost immediately, or some things that we can do but later. And I'm saying this to you, while we ask that you tell us what you need, it is not a promise. Because I'll tell you, when we allow the communities to tell us what they want, and they give us a list of what they want, they take it as though it's a promise.
During his interaction with the residents of the Lower Cariabo area, Minister Norton gathered pertinent information which he will take to Cabinet to have the relevant ministers address the issues identified. Minister Bolkan said with March 2, 2020 approaching, several small parties have begun announcing themselves. The parties present various narratives, but none speak of national unity.
So we went to the elections, a 6 party, and we're going back to these elections in March of 2015 as that coalition of 6 parties, because we believe that what Guyana needs is more unity and more coalition. That one party alone doesn't have the wisdom or the skills or the expertise of leading this country. So we need more alliances, not, if you will, go it alone or Lone Ranger. This administration, let me say this before I take my seat, is made up of 6 parties. It's a 6-party alliance. On the one hand, we have the APNU, which is called a Partnership for National Unity, which was formed in 2011. And this APNU is made up of five political parties. The National Front Alliance, the Working People's Alliance, the Guyana Action Party, which is headed by Mr. Sidney Alicott, now Vice President Sidney Alicott, People's National Congress, or the PNC, and the Justice for All Party, which is Mr. Sharma's party, C.N. Sharma. So those 5 parties came together in 2015 and formed what is called APNU. And then before the elections, sorry, 2011, what am I saying, 2011. And then before the 2015 elections, on February the 14th of 2015, APNU joined the AFC, or the Alliance for Change. And we had an agreement which said that we will contest the 2015 elections.
For its part, the government is going to the elections in March with a great degree of confidence, as His Excellency President David Granger came into office and provided himself, earning the respect of the vast majority of the Guyanese people.
The government once again delivered on a promise in the education sector, this time through the commissioning of the Guyana Primary School in Region 1, Mabaruma.
The $10 million facility was commissioned by Minister within the Ministry of Social Protection with responsibility for labor, Honorable Keith Scott.
But it has been a promise of the government that education will come first for all young people in this country. To have a proper education, we have to encourage you to stay in school.
Beyond the academic, the school will also provide technical education to students in the higher levels. From his department, Minister Scott said the trainers from the Board of Industrial Training will guide those students who wish to pursue studies in the technical field.
And this government, the APNU AFC government, has every intention to make sure that you're given every opportunity to be able to profit by our desire.
Guyana residents also had a chance to engage in talks with Minister Scott, during which they raised concerns about ICT and science education, water reach and electricity. Minister Scott, listening to the residents, offered solutions, remedies, and helped encourage residents to begin creating plans for their village's future. The meeting ended with at least one of those concerns being addressed. Students of Guyana will now have access to microscience kits until their science labs are built next year.
You've been watching InfoHub-In-Depth, where we look back at the recent ministerial exercise in Region 1. Join us again next week. Goodbye.